Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some triple shadow battles in the Evolution Cup featuring a Legacy Ominous Wind Shadow Golbat. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now typically on Shadow Golbat, most trainers do opt for Shadow Ball as it is the preferred move. However, this trainer has Legacy Ominous Wind on the Shadow Golbat, and they're able to go on a 20-2 run. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Ominous Wind Shadow Golbat in the Evolution Cup. Hopping into the first match, and we've got a battle of Seals on the lead, Shadow Celio versus the regular. Now this is an extremely high-ranked Shadow Celio, meaning that odds are it is probably going to lose CMP in the mirror. Overfarmed by 1, but the opponent is overfarming even more. Body Slam is going to land. This will be a battle of Body Slam spam. Opponent tries to go for CMP, but ends up going for the extra. Body Slam is going to land. Opponent going for another Body Slam right away, and this will be getting the Shadow Celio below half health. Shadow Celio not quite at the back-to-back moves here, still 1 Powder Snow short. This Body Slam is going to land. It's going to come down to CMP, so we see a beautiful catch, not risking the CMP tie, catching the Body Slam onto the Shadow Dusclops. Opponent sends in their own Shadow Dusclops, so the opponent running an extremely similar team. Shadow Punch is going to connect. Opponent is at the back-to-back moves here, but then again, Dusclops will have the energy for the Shadow Punch as well. It comes down to CMP, but the opponent running a more attack-weighted Dusclops wins CMP and gets the KO. Now, is it going to be Shadow Golbat time? It is. In comes Shadow Golbat, looking for the farm down. We see a switch into the Celio. Is that the Ice Punch catch? Yes, it is. What a play. Back in comes the opposing Celio, and that will be met with the loaded energy here. Body Slam gets them low. Opponent able to withstand the fast move pressure and make it to one final move. Body Slam will be lethal, and now it's all up to Shadow Golbat with energy. We'll have to see what the opponent has in the back here. Opponent is going to be sending in a Dragonair, and honestly, you just go straight Poison Fang here. Poison Fang number 1 will be no shielded. Opponent recognizing that future Poison Fangs are going to do more. Firing off another Poison Fang. Opponent now going to shield. They are taking a lot of damage. They reset the debuff by switching in the Dusclops, but this is bad news as Golbat gets to apply a debuff right back with another Poison Fang. It's gonna be a race. Golbat withstands the fast move pressure, and this will be game over. Golbat lost CMP, but with a shield remaining, able to shield up the Aqua Tail from the Dragonair, return fire, and get the KO with the Poison Fang, and that is a good game. Picking up a fairly neutral lead in the next match, Shadow Celio versus Haunter. Haunter gets absolutely shredded by fast move pressure, but it hits incredibly hard in return. Celio is going to let the move through. Opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. Celio building up to the back-to-back and baiting with the Body Slam here. Not full sending the Water Pulse, and it works out as Celio is able to grab the shield. Celio went for another Body Slam, lost CMP to Haunter, and Haunter is going to get the KO. In comes Shadow Golbat. Golbat not quite going to be able to farm down, and Golbat is going to have to give up a shield here. Haunter did make it to the Ice Punch, and Golbat gets the farm down. Opponent going to send in Piloswine, and now going for the Ominous Wind here. This is the Legacy move. Ominous Wind gets the boost, and now Golbat, with this boosted damage, is looking to put some hurt onto the Piloswine. Poison Fang gets a shield. Attack and defense have been buffed for the Golbat, but letting it go, choosing to put all faith into the Dusclops. Dusclops will get outpaced by the Piloswine. Avalanche does a lot of damage. We will see the final shield deployed. Now, looking to overfarm, making it to the back-to-back Shadow Punches, and this is going to be lethal. Down goes Piloswine in the back. It's a Vigoroth, and I think with the amount of health that this Dusclops has, this is actually winnable. Dusclops is firing off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch does deal some solid damage, but the important thing is that the Dusclops is not in Bulldoze range. Bulldoze not going to be enough to KO, and I don't believe this is Body Slam range after tanking the Bulldoze. Opponent will have to make it to a second Bulldoze, and I believe they're just going to get outpaced here. Dusclops already at another Ice Punch. That's going to get them low, and for the killing blow, makes it to the double resisted Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch takes down the Vigoroth and secures the win. We see a very tough lead in the next match, Shadow Celio into Vigoroth. Two better responses in the back, so we are going to see a pivot into Dusclops, and Dusclops is answered by Chansey. Chansey, well known to be the most toxic Pokemon in the Evolution Cup. Let's see how it's going to be handled. Dusclops, unfortunately, doing absolutely nothing in terms of fast move pressure here, but the nice thing is Dusclops is a lot spammier than Chansey. So Dusclops is able to spam out Ice Punch after Ice Punch in this matchup, but the unfortunate thing is that the opponent is probably going to play to a timeout win. They go for the Psychic. That does not do a lot of damage. Dusclops has so much energy here, looking to chip away at the tremendously bulky Chansey. Chansey just able to absorb Ice Punch after Ice Punch in this matchup, but Dusclops doing its best to try and put this Chansey into a range where the other Pokemon can deal with it later on. Continuing to overfarm a ton of energy here, firing off another Ice Punch. Will this finally get the Chansey below half health? Yes, it does. Our long nightmare might finally be at an end. We may get rid of the opponent's Chansey. Opponent, again, very slow to charge moves with Chansey here. I believe that may have been a CMP tie, actually. Ice Punch lands. It is the CMP tie. Choosing to let the Dusclops go, and now trusting in the Celio and the Golbat to try and finish off this game. In comes the Shadow Celio. Celio farming up, will be hit with a move from Chansey. We see the immediate no shield here, letting them move through. It's the Hyper Beam, and that honestly did some pretty solid damage. Farming up, we see an undercharge on the Body Slam. Celio looking to try and lead this matchup with as much energy as possible, and that's a beautiful undercharge, leaving with a lot of energy, going for the Water Pulse as in comes the Vigoroth. This will get some chip damage to make the Vigoroth easier for the Golbat to handle in the back. Golbat will be met with Dusclops, and this is a situation where having the cheaper Ominous Wind can come in handy, as Golbat is able to get to Ominous Wind faster than it would be able to get to the Shadow Ball. Dusclops has a lot of energy here. We are going to see a shield from the Shadow Golbat. They go for the Shadow Punch, and it looks like they are just going to fire off Shadow Punches in this matchup here. Shadow Punch is going to be no-shielded by the Golbat. Golbat now going to go for the Poison Fang bait. They've already seen the Ominous Wind, and they commit the shield, and that's big, because that will, of course, lower their defense. Golbat running out of options, but letting the Shadow Punch go. Golbat making it to the Ominous Wind. This will KO unless the opponent is willing to burn the final shield. They let that through. Timer's coming up, and this is going to be big. You have to shield this, because if you have more Pokemon alive at the end of the match, you can win, and the Celio makes it to the Body Slam. Body Slam gets the shield, but with 2 Pokemon alive to 1, that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a very difficult lead, Shadow Celio into Alolan Graveler. The team is ABA weak to Alolan Graveler, so let's see how this is played out. We see an immediate save switch into Shadow Dusclops. Opponent throws on alignment, giving Dusclops a Hex for free. Graveler lands the Stone Edge. That gets Dusclops low, but Dusclops has so much energy here. Dusclops going for the Shadow Punch right off the bat. That's going to grab a shield from the Graveler. Now going for the Ice Punch. Ice Punch will deal some solid chip damage, but the Dusclops is getting low, and Dusclops cannot make another move as the Volt Switch will be lethal. The good news is a shield advantage was grabbed out of the mid game, but the bad news is that Graveler is going to get those shields back. Graveler has so much energy here, able to make it to not 1, but 2 Rock Blasts, and now both shields have been used on the Celio. Celio will be able to get the farm down, and you just have to hope that Celio is good versus whatever they have in the back, but that appears to not be the case. They send in Vigoroth, Water Pulse lands, in comes the Golbat. Golbat farming up, tried to go for the Poison Fang, but was 1 turn desynced, so the opponent will fire off the Body Slam. Golbat looking for a potential farm down here, not going to get it, going to be firing off the Poison Fang here. Poison Fang will get the KO unless they shield, which they do not, and they have their own Golbat in the back. This game might actually be winnable. Celio, opponent had 2 counters for it on their team, but both those counters have been KO'd. Opponent is going to be getting rid of the Golbat here with a Poison Fang. Poison Fang is going to KO. In comes the Celio. Celio farming up, going for the Body Slam. It's a CMP tie. Can Celio hang on here? Golbat, Shadow Ball. Celio able to survive. Can the Body Slam KO? They are debuffed. Yes, it can. And that's game over. We see a neutral lead in the next match, Shadow Celio into an opposing Dusclops. Celio going to be staying in this matchup to start with. Celio does need to go for the Water Pulse if it wants to deal any meaningful damage here. Dusclops is going to strike first, going for the Shadow Punch. That just does not do a lot of damage. Celio does have a lot of bulk, even when Shadow. Returning fire with the Water Pulse and able to grab an early shield from the opponent. Opponent going for another Shadow Punch, but we already know Celio can tank this. Celio absorbing that damage, going for Water Pulse number 2. There's no shot the opponent is double shielding here. They're just going to let that through, but that gets the opposing Dusclops very low. Celio managed to get a shield advantage here and just going to let it go. So looking for energy here on the Dusclops. Opponent will make a Shadow Punch. Decision time, letting the Shadow Punch through. Again, saving the shields for later. Opponent now going to send in their own Celio. We already saw this matchup once. Now we get to see it again. Firing off the Shadow Punch. That just does not do a lot of damage, especially because the opponent is running a regular Celio instead of the Shadow. Firing off another Shadow Punch here. But the bad news is, with the Golbat in the back, you cannot have the Golbat go up against this Celio. Opponent baits with a Body Slam, and that gets shielded. You absolutely hate to see it. Firing off another Shadow Punch here. Shadow Punch is going to get the opponent low. Opponent still has to Water Pulse here. Body Slam will not be enough to KO. Opponent goes for the Body Slam. We see a pivot into the Golbat. Opponent is able to make another Body Slam here. We see the no shield from the Golbat in the back. Opponent has Vigoroth. Golbat is going to strike first, firing off the Poison Fang, and the opponent is going to let that through, recognizing that future Poison Fangs are going to deal more. Golbat is firing off Poison Fang number 2. This will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. Vigoroth has so much energy that at this point, you kind of just have to let the bat go. They go for the Body Slam. That is going to KO. In comes the Dusclops. Dusclops will have to expend the final shield on a Body Slam here. Dusclops needs to try and leave with 2 moves. Farms up. I believe this is the Ice Punch plus the Shadow Punch. Ice Punch onto the Vigoroth. KOs and leaves with the Shadow Punch loaded. Absolutely perfect energy management. Shadow Punch takes down the Celio, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, we see the same leads as last game, Shadow Celio going up against the Dusclops. But this Dusclops is running Feint Attack, which does impact the matchup quite a bit. Now, Feint Attack does see some play on Dusclops in this meta, due to the fact that with Feint Attack, Dusclops has an even more commanding matchup over Vigoroth. We see Dusclops commit an early shield, and Celio's looking to match shields here, and that proves to be a very good decision as they full send the Poltergeist. Opponent is going to save switch into Vigoroth, and Vigoroth is going to be answered with the Shadow Dusclops. Vigoroth able to make it to the Bulldoze, but Bulldoze doesn't even do half of Shadow Dusclops' health. Shadow Dusclops farming up, going for the Ice Punch, unfortunately does let a counter sneak through there. Ice Punch is going to connect. Dusclops continuing to farm. Again, unfortunately, a counter is able to get through as they're going for another Ice Punch here. Ice Punch is going to get the Vigoroth low. Vigoroth able to make it to the Bulldoze, and we're going to see the no shield here from the Dusclops. Dusclops barely able to hang on with a sliver of HP, making it to yet another Ice Punch. That's going to get a shield, so the opponent making a play for switch advantage here. And now do you just send in the Golbat to farm down? No, in comes the Celio. Celio banked energy for later, using it now. Body Slam is going to get the KO. In the back, it's another Chansey. You have got to be kidding me. Chansey, absurdly bulky, and Chansey is going to take a team effort to get rid of here. Celio doing its part, spamming out Body Slam after Body Slam onto the bulky Chansey. Chansey continuing to farm up. Celio not able to be farmed down, so they're forced to fire off a Psychic here, and we will see a shield deployed by the Celio. Celio just continuing to spam out Body Slam after Body Slam in this matchup, just trying to get rid of the Chansey. Going for yet another Body Slam. Chansey below half health now, so maybe this is actually doable. Continuing to farm, going for another Body Slam, and Chansey starting to approach the red health here. Chansey now in the red. Opponent sends in their Feint Attack Dusclops, and that is going to be met with the Shadow Golbat. Opponent fires off the Ice Punch. That does deal quite a bit of damage, but Golbat can go for the Ominous Wind here. Remember, Ominous Wind is cheaper than Shadow Ball. That's going to get them low. Gets the Wing Attack farm down. Back in comes Chansey. Chansey will be hit with the Poison Fang, but the issue is the Zen Headbutts do hit for super effective here. That's going to get the Chansey low. It's a fast move race. Chansey would have got farmed down. They're forced to go for the Psychic. That KOs the Golbat. But the Celio, ever spammy, gets to the Body Slam, KOs the Chansey, and secures the win. All in all, this team does seem to have quite a bit of play into the current Evolution Cup meta. Personally, I've been sticking more to the open metas, but it is cool to see someone run triple Shadow Pokemon in a limited meta and have the kind of success that this battler did, going 20-2 with the team, climbing from 2400 till nearly expert. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you is always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.